All right, we are live. Let me get this tweeted out here so everybody get joined in. 1 minute, please. Da-da-da. Awesome. Here we go. Boom. Good, good, good. Well, I hope everybody had a great trading day today. Today is October 22nd, 2019, and everything we're going to talk about today is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So take a moment to review this disclaimer here before we get started with a recap of the market and to talk about our discussion on uh, the 60 anchor, right? And reversals of the 60 anchor. So when do those reversals happen, right? So let's take a look. All right. So here we are. This is where we are. This is the market. This is the SPX. This is the S&P cash. So far so good. With this month, right? I mean, we have a few trading days left, right? Today's the 22nd. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trading days left in this month. So looking for, well, right now it's green. We have a green hammer right now in the month. So far so good on the bullishness. Now, we're starting to see a change in composure, right? Yesterday, right, the month was, a little bit of a thicker hammer. Today, we're down 10 points, right? So something to be a little bit concerned about, right? Look at what we're seeing here. We're seeing upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow on these weeklies, right? So if this week continues to push down, we may see a test of the weekly mid Bollinger Band, which is the 20 moving average, of course. We may see a test within this range, the real body range of the prior week. Let's see. Futures are down a little bit this evening, of course. With the way volatility has been, -5 would normally be pretty bad, but anything could happen overnight. So honestly, the VIX has been pretty good. It did get a little bit of a spike today, so it got a little bit scared today. So that was basically what was happening with the VIX there. So the daily, right? We talked about this yesterday, right? So the real key, right, with the market here was Thursday. Okay, I'm sorry, Thursday. Okay, so what we needed to do was close bullishly over this Thursday level, right, with a strong bullish candle and ideally increase volume on the S&P futures or the SPY, right, to where we could see the volume, right, on increasing volume. And if we do close above that, then we were looking for bullish action for more continuation to the upside. Now what it appears to be doing is, it rejected staying above those levels, and that's really key. The market knows how important this stuff is, right, so it came back down, right, and it pushed down pretty hard. And so at this point, what it's sort of looking like, it's starting to turn, right? It's beginning the action of turning. So if these futures stay down and we have another low day tomorrow, we may see a little bit of a turning point, right? Sort of like here, right? That kind of upper shadow, and then we have this turning point, right, in the market. If we have that, then anything could happen at that point, right? We could test the cloud, we could test the trend line, we could fill this gap, right? We've got a closing gap here we could fill, all sorts of stuff could happen. So really, really critical juncture today was very, very important. So let's see, tomorrow's going to be just as important too if we get that fall to the downside or if they could buy it up, right? The farther down we go, the harder it is to buy it up, right, in any reasonable amount of time. So that's one of the things that we're going to be looking at. So good stuff. All right, so let's kind of move on. Let's take a look at the price action here. Okay, so you can see, basically where we're at in the GMAC chart. So if we did work our way up, we'd start to see ourselves working up to the top of the channel. If not, this turning point here, like I said, we might see the downward trend line here. We might see the pitchfork median line, fill some gaps, things like that. Okay. These are the levels that we provide to our subscribers in the private Twitter feed before every market open, usually the night before, right? So we could all get these levels in. Very, very important levels. These are the key levels. These are the levels that price will most likely like to test the next day. And so here we go. This was today's levels. We gapped up this morning, right? It looked like we were going to get a gap fade right here, which would correspond with the prior day's high and also the prior day's close, but we didn't get that really because every time we got to the R1 level, right, which ended up being the 15 or below, right, we kept on getting a lower shadow, lower shadow. Oh, this one tried back up to test some higher levels. Okay, we got up here. We got a lot of upper shadows in these levels. Came back down, chopped around for a little bit, and then boom, one candle, right, one candle filled the gaps, right, the open gap and the closing gap. Very, very important stuff. Right? And so we filled all those. And once that happened, price said, I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll kind of hang out here. Whoa. Back to this level right here. And then finally one more low here. So when it goes down, it's a little bit different, right? It likes to put in these like lower shadows, right? But when you see the lower shadows in space, right? Not at a key level. A lot of times that does imply, some possible action. That's when we look for inside bars that occur within those shadows, right? So here, if we see this shadow right here, you can see we got a nice little, real body into the lower end of that range, and then when it finally came over and started testing, boom, it dropped down, right? So very, very interesting stuff with that. And then here's a strong candle right here, right into the close. So you can see level to level to level. So very, very important stuff. It's all about reading the price action at these levels and where it likes to test next. And usually it gives you clues based on where the shadows go. We've talked about that all the time. So good stuff there. Okay, good. So today we're going to continue our discussion on the 60 anchor. Okay, so with that, we're just going to take a look and see what we can see. Okay, so with the 60 anchor, let's take a look at Netflix, for instance. Okay, so Netflix has been interesting. It does occasionally like to put in the 60 anchor, right? So we had this anchor right here. What is it here that caused the reversal? There's a couple key things that we can look at, right? So remember we went back to the definition of. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that craziness right here. So when we look at the definition of 60 anchor, right, it's an inside bar on the 60-minute time frame that starts at 9:30, right? A lot of times, so if you have Thinkorswim Mobile, it starts at 9 o'clock. But with most trading software, desktop software, you could set the trading so that you can start at 9:30, right? We want to see the open market levels, right? It just helps. And the reason that it helps is because that last 30-minute bar of the day, or the last 60-minute bar of the day, is actually a 30-minute bar, right? Because if we end at 4 o'clock, we start at 9:30, there's 30 minutes missing, right? It's all compressed into this bar. So when we have this, this type of movement right here, or this inside bar, this indecision, right? We have the next bar, we could trade it just like an inside candle, right? But we're going to have more momentum, we're going to have more volume, and it's really going to push out of those levels, and give us a good trading opportunity. Okay, so one of the great things here, so let's take a look at Netflix right here. We could see exactly what happened. So it attempted to break to the upside, but if we look at the price action of the 60-minute chart, we can see a lot of very interesting things, right? We could see, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow. Where are we on this, right? We're in the cloud, right? So we're rejecting the cloud. So the next day, right, we opened, right, down, right? And then, we pushed up, we pushed down, and then we reversed back in the range, right? So what it likes to do, it likes to test the levels inside the 60-minute anchor. So let's go back to yesterday's 15-minute chart and just kind of see what happened here. So you can see exactly what happened. So this was this is the move, right? So we had the inside 60 right here, right? And we came down, right? Initially, we had a big pop up, right? We reversed back in it. Okay, so the reason of that too is not only did we did that kind of come back in, but we were continuing a downtrend. Okay, so you can see on the 15-minute chart here, we had a very, very big downtrend here that continued into the next day, right? So when this did occur, right, we saw that it tried to break out of the 60 anchor and then we reversed back in very, very quickly, right? Because the trend was down, and you also saw where we were at with the cloud too. Okay. So we saw that come back in really, really fast. So that was a quick reversal off of that. And then we saw a big push down, right? A big push down, and then retested, right? So a lot of times, if we can't break down and we see the price action move from one side to the other, right? Sometimes it just kind of likes to continue to test in that range. So when we see that happen, right, we can see on the lower price range, we could see for instance, like a hammer forming, like in this case, right, reversal hammer with increasing volume, right? We can look for a potential reversal on that. So just trades just like trading an inside 60, right? Sometimes, right, we can wait, and if we can see that there's resistance points, right, we can short into the range of the 60 anchor right here. So you can see here at this level, we pushed up, and as soon as we came back in with any sort of momentum, we can start to trade inside the range there with a target at the 50%, and then ultimately with a breakout of that level to the other side. So it makes for a very strong move. And you can test this. You can go back and test this on other levels too. So one of the key things too, and we'll talk about that as well. So if we gap up, right, the difference between a gap and go, right, and a reversal is basically in the direction of where we were going, right? So for instance, if we were reversing, like so in this day right here, we had a 60 anchor at the end of the day on Netflix, right? And granted it was into earnings, but this is just showing what happened here. If we were going down, right? if we notice on the 60 time frame we were going down and then we gapped up, then we might see a reversal because shorts might get caught there, right? But if not, it was kind of trending up here before there, we might see a reversal. It's just one of those kind of little trends that happens, right? So, in this case here, we were kind of trending down on the 60-minute chart. We ended up, gapping down a little bit, right? So, but we got the reversal. Look at the cloud right there. Nice lower shadow right into the cloud. Pushed back to the 60 anchor range and then broke out to the upside, right? So at that point, because of the downtrend that we were in, we see a massive reversal on that, right? Because anybody who was short into the close, right, had to cover, right? And then we got that big push up there. So it's just trading candles. It's just trading price action. It's just like trading during the day normally, right? Here's an inside 60, right, breakdown. But we get a lot more momentum and we get gaps too, okay? So very, very good stuff. It gets a little bit tricky, but it's worth going through and reviewing. Every time you see it, I always tweet out what the 60 anchors are every night. So I don't recommend jumping in and just trading it right away. It can be fast. They can be fast trades, but I certainly suggest going through and at least looking at them each day and kind of seeing how they close and sort of what the patterns are there. So. Hopefully you guys find that helpful. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window and we'll get through as many as we can. We'll try to wrap up at 10:30 so we can all get a good night's sleep and have a great trading day tomorrow. So pretty interesting stuff today. Tomorrow is Boeing. Right, so Boeing is going to be tomorrow. That's going to be huge, right? It's very interesting that the market was really weak today, and Boeing managed to kind of keep itself up. Oh, look, it's got a 60 anchor too, so we'll see how that trades into earnings. But I think it's very interesting. It was a big downtrend, and then it just kind of gapped up today, right? And just chopped around up here. So I don't know if it's they're gearing up for more room down. It's kind of a little shenanigan. It's hard for me to believe that their earnings are going to be good whatsoever. So it just depends on basically what I think their conference call and their guidance is. So it's going to be hot tomorrow, and I think it's going to set the tone for the market. I think the market is kind of preparing for it one way or another. So good stuff. So I'm going to start here. Hey guys, hey Harvey. Hey Moomer, I'm just going to get through a couple of these, just some DM to email chart requests. Stock Recycler had a couple, so let's pull these up. Let's pull up the daily chart here. So we've got M. Wow, M did have a nice close today. That's great. Let's take a look here. So the only thing, nice candle, right? Nice hammer. That was very rare today. What I like about Stock Recycler, he thinks very practically. He's like a lot of money is moving out of tech, right? So where's it going to go? He's thinking retail, and he's like, well, that's a pretty strong candle right there. So he's looking for something. So I love it. The only thing I want to see is a close below this turning point pivot level right here. So a close basically above $16.15 bullishly. But you got to watch out for the cloud there. That's the only thing, right? Could have some cloud resistance. Okay, I don't like to trade into it unless it's in it, but not into it. Right? It's a little bit risky. It's like trading into resistance. Right? Good. Kroger. Wow, that's looking pretty good too. Let's take a look. We have this. We have this. Not quite there yet, Stock Recycler. Just at the lower. I do like how it's coming out of the cloud. Might take a couple days to get above this and give us the type of levels that we want. But I do like this type of candle on a kind of a bearish day like today. Shake Shack. Now, guys, this is one that gave like a huge gap and go level, right? 15 orb high, 15 orb low. It's been above. This is one of those ones that just kept. This was a keep on goer, right? This one just kept on going. So what we're seeing right now is basically a downtrend. So we have this going on right here. Okay, so here's your minor turning point pivot. Basically, it came back down to the trend line and the cloud bottom. Increased volume. It is looking kind of bearish-ish. If you wanted to really kind of push the number on it, you could say this is the start of it, right? So if it closed below that level, right, it would basically be coming back in trend. So look for increased volume below the trend line here, and then we might see a move back to test those 15 orb levels. But very, very strong move initially on Shake Shack. Great stuff. All right, Shirley has a couple for us. EWZ. Shirley loves those bullish moves. Yeah, EWZ is very, very nice. Let's take a look here. Macro trend is here. Today was a very nice bullish close, Shirley, over these levels. I really like it. The only thing that concerns me is a little bit of an upper shadow, a little bit of a belt hold bar right there. Typically bullish, but I honestly, percentage-wise, maybe 50-50-ish, kind of like a spinning top, but maybe 59% or something. I can't remember, 50-something percent, but anyway, very, very bullish there with the gap up and increased volume. So let's look. I would imagine a day like this, I want to see some consolidation, maybe an inside day or a hammer tomorrow, and then look for that type of move to the upside. PBR. Also go in Brazil. Brazil must be having a good day today. So that's good. Very, very similar. Let's see if this pulls up. Okay, very, very similar. The only difference is, right, the trend lines. A little bit different. So the macro trend line, it's trying to break out of it. It couldn't quite close above this level, surely, and that level is very important. Okay, so that's the level of this macro trend line right here. So it's kind of stabilized. So just be careful of that a little bit. And it does have earnings coming up. Let's take a look at FIT. Let's take a look at FIT. So FIT is looking interesting too, surely, again, right into this kind of selling pressure right here. But I love how it's reclaiming a lot of these levels. I think there is some potential with this one. I like the increased volume. I like this kind of candle right here closing over these levels. In fact, yesterday was probably a good day to swing it, and then it got that follow through today. So just be careful of a little resistance just ahead. Nice there, BBBY. Oh yeah, that's real nice. That's going on the radar for tomorrow for sure. For sure. Okay, so we have this. It got out of these levels recently. It closed over these levels. Closed over these levels. BBBY is looking pretty good. That's going on the watch list for tomorrow for sure. I'll put EWZ on there too. Looks interesting. Okay. Okay. Good, Shirley. Fit looks pretty good too. CSX. Woo, CSX pretty strong. Surely the only thing I don't like about this one is the volume. Okay, so here's your low. There's your previous level right here. We're closing all these levels. I like how it's breaking out of the cloud. I don't like the decreasing volume. That's the only thing. But other than that, it's starting to look pretty good. Nice recovery on CSX. UAA. Wow. Big candle today. You know what's really interesting, guys? Like there was some call buying going on, like in these levels right here. It kind of came up to the cloud a little bit, dropped back down, and then boom. It's amazing how it does it. This is a beautiful close of these levels. I wish I saw that. That is super strong, and that is definitely going on the radar for tomorrow. Great one on that one, Shirley. Nice. Harvey, I hope you're doing great, man. Great job today. Muammar, what's going on? Let's take a look. Yeah, VZ. What a day today for VZ. It was look at that candle from yesterday too. Look at that crazy lower shadow. They made this big announcement this morning that it was going to offer free Disney with subscribers and all that stuff. And what's really interesting about this is the potential mega cup and handle that we got going here. We got this big cup, this big handle, and so we want to see a bullish close over this level right here to show that it's breaking out of that cup and handle. So VZ is looking really, really interesting. VFC. VFC is looking pretty good. It's just a little bit of a red candle here and decreasing volume. So not quite there yet. If we slap a trend line on here, it would kind of look like this. So it is closing nicely over these levels. Just would like to see some continuation. This was actually a nice candle yesterday. So let's see if it holds from that and continues to the upside. And then Microsoft is pretty much hands off for me. It really is. It's just been in this chop range for so long, right? It's tough to put any sort of position on. So I put a big red box around it saying, "Don't trade in this range." Once it gets out of it, let me know, and then we'll continue to take a look at it. So good stuff. Yeah, my pleasure, More. Good to see you. IT Fun, what's up? Good evening. Appreciate you tuning in. It Fun. Minesh, what's going on? NVIDIA and Coop. My pleasure. So NVIDIA, I think it had some news tonight. I just didn't read it. So big topping tail at some key pivot levels from prior, right here-ish, kind of here. That was kind of the big gap resistance areas. Big topping tail right there. I can't remember if it did anything. It had this big drop after hours, and so did AMD. I just can't remember. Oh, is it in sympathy? Yeah. That's it. It was in sympathy with Texas Instruments. Oh my goodness, Texas Instruments got slammed. I remember we swung Texas Instruments successfully a couple months ago, and it just happened that we had great earnings with NVIDIA. This is a good sympathy stock right there. So TXN is going to be on the radar for sure for tomorrow on the 15 orb list. So nice one there. At this point, with NVIDIA, just kind of keep an eye at where it's holding. Right, it had a closing gap down at this level right here. You could see it well, not necessarily here, but you could see it, right? Yeah, in fact, that was it. So you can see it's closing out. So it's gapping to those levels. Let's see what it does tomorrow around that zone. Yeah, and then Coop. Koopa Troopa. Wow, really continuing the downtrend right here. Nasty up move. Look at how it held. We called this out, this megaphone formation, right? So, basically ascending triangle. Let's see at this point, right? A, B, C, D, E. Maybe we have E. Let's see how it holds right here. Very, very bearish, increased volume. If it holds here, we might see another reversal back up because this could be a big wave for, not ascending triangle, expanding triangle. So let's see how that holds there. Very, very key level right here on Coop. Great ones, Minesh. Oh, and then Regeneron, yeah, REGN. Yeah, it's trying to, right? Macro trend line. Let's see if it comes up. Yep, macro trend line down. Needs to close above that level right there. We had a little bit of a bull flag, but let's see if it can close above 310 bullishly. And then we'll look for a swing. Zach, what's going on? BIIB, thank you for mentioning this one. So BIIB, guys, a lot of folks in our group, in our private group, made money with this to the short side. Now let's take a look, and then we'll talk about why. Okay, so 15 orb wise, right? We had a reversal on this, right? So here's your 15 orb, right? And then we had this bearish at the bottom of those lows. Let me actually load the 15 orb up here for you. One sec. Okay, you got the 15 orb right here. Here's your 15 orbs levels. Look at that. You have this bearish momentum shooting star right there, right through the 15 orb level, and then right from 301 down to 379. Big down move on that, right? And here's the key. It got through the bulk of the pre-market levels, right through that candle right there. And once it did that, these are your carrier bars right here. After that, we got to those levels, big down move, and then just kind of chop for the rest of the day. So why, after this huge move up, by the way, this is incredible. Could you imagine having like 100 calls of this, right? Like, I'll just buy some 330 calls, or whatever, 310 calls out of the money. Let's look at that, right? Well, let's look at that and see what those were today. So .pi, we just have to for fun. I haven't had a chance yet. Let's just say yesterday you bought the 310 calls on a lotto. Let's just see how those were from today to from yesterday to today. Yeah. So basically, from what I could tell, oh, they weren't even available. What day was this? That was just today. There's like no volume on that one. How about the 300s? Yeah, so yesterday, guys, oh my, if you bought the 300 calls out of the money, right, on BIIB at the close, and the total volume yesterday was, wow, 14,000. No, I'm sorry, 270. So if you bought just say you bought 100 of those, right? One of them cost you $5, 10 of them cost you $50, 100 of them cost you, right, $500. Look at that. What a day. What a day. Very, very nice. Right? Incredible stuff. So, anyway, I'm not encouraging gambling or anything like that, but 5 cents to $22 makes for a very nice day. So the real question is, why did it reverse, right? Why did it reverse? Well, one, we have to think about it, the way people think, right? We have to use that type of psychology, right? Why did it reverse? Well, what would you do if you bought at 5 cents, right? And you woke up and they were $22, right? And then you were there $22, right? That's a huge, more 5 cents, $500, $220,000, right? That's a huge day, right? Right, it's a huge day. And so, what would you do? I'm gonna tell you what I would do. I would dump them, right? And think about anybody who had shares, right? They're sitting down here like, we're investing and everything's, we expect a 10% move, right? So I mean, like, what would you do? I would be like, all right, sell, and that's what they did. Right, so right at the open, big, crazy moves and all that stuff. Gonna sell my shares, just keep selling, right? Let's get as much profit as we can, and then boom, right, just like that. And then the bottom feeders come in, at these levels here. So as they defend, certain levels. So But why did it reverse, right? Other than that, other than the logic. The other reason is, right, look where it gapped to. We talk about this all the time. Now, it gapped over many key levels right here, so that's why it got like a little bit of a move at the open, right? But where did it move into? It moved into heavy resistance, right? It wasn't just like, a penny stock that, gapped up to like, $20 or $50 or something like that. It was, you know, right into resistance. So when that happens, it's very, very likely to see a reversal. So you combine the psychology of it with the technicals of it, and it's not a horrible opportunity to short to the downside, right? So just kind of wanted to illustrate that for you. So ZEK, great question on BIIB. Where it's going to go from here, not sure. What we do is on day 2 after a gap, we use the 15 orb on the first day. Tomorrow we'll look at the 30 orb on it to see how it behaves, okay? Because sometimes we get extra moves out. It likes to consolidate within that 30 orb range, and then if it really wants more movement, it usually breaks out of that. For some reason, it likes to do that over the next couple days with the 30. It's a good one to track. And this is one that is a good candidate for that because of the hugeness of the gap. But anyway, good stuff. Paul, what's going on? Hope you're doing great, man. Sean, what's up? MPC? Yeah. Let's take a look. All right, so MPC is looking pretty interesting. I think they were talking about like strategic offerings, like selling refineries. There's like this chatter, officials, activist investors, things like that. It's been getting like a lot of weird news and all that stuff. So, but it's continuing its trend, right? It's continuing its trend. So let's take a look here. Ooh, here, and there. Okay, so here's your upper trend line. Bullish until proven otherwise. So it's just continuing its uptrend right there. Nice stuff, Sean. Sarah, good evening. Hope you're doing great. Great job. Great trading today. It's awesome. NetFry, Merck. Let's take a look. MRK. Merck looks like it got Merck today. It, gapped down and held basically found some, buying pressure here, right? And you see all these lower shadows. It just kind of came into that lower shadow buying zone. So there's some demand in this area, right? So at this point, I'm not going to say short it, but again, it's obviously pretty weak here. So we'll see if that gets any continuation, right? Just be careful of the shadows on that one. Very, very interesting there. Do you know the reason that it gapped down, Nefry? Was it because BIB gapped up so much? I didn't really see any definitive news on why it gapped. I don't see this Bristol Myers rises as this trial meets primary endpoint. I feel like somebody like this Bristol Myers or somebody else beat them to it, whatever the case was. That's at 1400. What's that? Advanced pre-market, biotech, Biogen's on the negative Novartis. Yeah, I'm not sure what caused Merck to gap down today, but it must have been because of one of its competitors. Maybe beat them to the the cure, right? Whatever the case is. So, good stuff. Godwin, what's going on? Good evening. Do you use market or limit orders with options? I've tried to use limit orders before, but I missed fills, right? Since entries were usually on breaks of price levels and the trade would run away. Right. So Godwin, if you have Thinkorswim, right, one of the things you could do, and yes, I miss trades too, right? So I'll put a limit out. Sometimes I'll want to get filled at the midpoint level because I've been, here's the deal. I try to limit into entries. I mark it out of stops. I'll never do a stop limit. Okay, because the reason is you can get really, really messed up because if it skips over your stop in an option, it can really move against you. So I always put a stop market on options, and it stinks because there's some slip there depending on what the spreads are. But getting in, it depends. It depends on how much I like the setup and how much I really think this thing's going to go. And you're right on those breaks. So one thing you can do, okay, is let's just say, let's look at the 5-minute chart here on Merck. Okay, let's say I really liked Merck I'm like, oh man, this consolidation here is going to be great. I think at 1040 it's going to go, right? So one thing you can do, and let's say at 1040 things could go. So somewhere above this 1035 bar at the highest, the 1030 bar is where you want to enter, right? But it just goes really fast. So one thing you can do, so if you have Thinkorswim or comparable broker software, .mrk, right, 191025 calls, and let's just say we wanted just the 81 calls on it, right? So we'll see a little bit of volume here. Okay, so 1030, and this is not a beautiful stock, right? 1030, 1035. One thing you could do is set a stop Let's do the 80s. Let's see if we can get something. These are really nice. You don't want to do market on those type of pennies, right? So, but if you're trading kind of in these general ranges right here with, yeah, there's not a lot of flow on this, but so here's your 1030. It doesn't even show you. There's not a lot of good flow here, but let's use it as an example. I wouldn't do market orders on unless the spreads are really good, right? Like 1 cent spreads. But what you can do, assume that these were better candles, right? At 1035, 1030, right? One thing, say we wanted to enter at like, you're like, I want to get in if it gets over 70, right? So one thing you can do is set a stop market entry, right? So you stop enter. So what you do is you buy custom, right? Say your stop, let's say you want to have your stop at 50 cents. So, I might do like a 50-cent stop on this. And then, but I want to enter, I want to do a stop entry, right? So I only want to enter if it basically breaks the high of this bar right here. So let's say, basically 72 or whatever the case is, right? So then what you could do is you set your order like this, right? And you can see what it does right here is it puts it right at that 72 range. So when the option price pushes above that range, you'll automatically get filled on it when it's going. So if you really like this setup, I'm not saying that was a great setup, but I'm just saying that this is a possibility. So you can set your entry as a stop. Now you'll mark it in, so you might get filled at like 79, but at least you're not like clicking and missing the move. Like if you really believe in your setup and it's moving, you can set a stop at a relative price from where it was on the chart itself, and that'll get you in, right? And then if it moves, right, then who cares at that point? At 79, it went all the way up to $1.41, right? So that'll just get you in at the next market level. So again, I wouldn't do it on crazy spreads, spready stocks, right? I would do it, on something that has nice flow, like SPY. Something like that. You don't want to, it's tough. You don't want to do it on SPX because SPX, takes a lot of finesse and it has really big spreads, right? But, something like Facebook, Apple, SPY, Bank of America, things that have like good flow, good option charts that you can get like a corresponding value, from your option chart to your stock chart. So that's how I would handle that. MTN, what's going on? I didn't get the YouTube notification again and missed the open of your stream. Did you cover BA? That's really crazy. Let me see. I've got, and it's a YouTube thing. I don't know if there's anything I can really do about it. So, do you see the Twitter? Do you see it on Twitter, or are you just through YouTube? Because that is really odd. I did get a notification at 9:32 that it came through. So on mine. So it might take. I don't know. It's just a YouTube thing. I wish it were better for us. But good. But anyway, that behind it. Yeah, I talked a little bit about BA, but let's take a look here. So BA, right? Ultimately, right, is different, right? The market was really weird, right? So it was we had this kind of bearish market today, but Boeing of all things, which has really bad news. They're lying to the FAA, et cetera, right? Which crushed it last week, right? And into Friday it was like ugh, like that, right? And then it gave a nice little move. Then it kind of recovered a little, and then it's up. Like everything else is kind of choppy and all that stuff, and Boeing is up, so it doesn't make much sense. So at this point, it really doesn't matter, right? So unless there's a setup intraday, just stay away from it. But we have earnings tomorrow, so tomorrow's going to be very interesting with Boeing. It's going to be in the morning, and right now the futures are actually down pretty decent right now, down 8 points. So at this point, right, how Boeing handles that conference call tomorrow is going to set the tone for the market for real, right? If they come out and say like, look, we're having trouble, we're not meeting our, timeline for, showing that the 737 Max is, serviceable, whatever the case is, right? It could go down hard, right? I think everybody thinks it's going to miss, and I think they probably will, unless they set the bar so low that anybody could hit it, right? So if it does, then we'll see where it goes to, right? It could flush, and that is huge. It's it's hugely weighted on the Dow, and if that goes down and brings the Dow down, right, we could see like a big move to the downside, right? So that's something to keep an eye on for that. So that's BA for reals. Sarah, what's going on? Roku? Yeah, let's take a look. Great job on Roku today too. You're rocking it. Makes me happy. Yeah, so Roku right today, right? 15 orb. Da 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 da. Hooah. Right down on the 15 orb breakdown. So nice trade there. Here, this is what it's kind of doing on the daily, right? So it's a little bit different than shop, as in the breakdown here is not as bearish, right? It's hard to say that this was sort of a channel breakdown, right? It was an extended move, right? And maybe this could have been like a 1, 2, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then maybe this is a zigzag down if that's the case. If it is, that's a 5. Then we would expect some sort of 3 move. So this could be following, basically shop could be the leading indicator for Roku. So shop is already starting to make its wave B down. So this could be A, right? It'd be a big wave A, but a 50% is possible, right? So A, B, C, then another sharp move down, and it might test these levels down the line. So maybe in January or something like that. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on Roku. So yeah, so we'll see. And then Amex, what's going on? Good to see you. Lyft. Yeah, let's take a look. So Lyft. Yeah, so Lyft is starting to look pretty good here. I love, let's see if the trend line pops up. So I love how it's finally getting above these pivot levels. It got big volume today, big move. The only thing I don't like is the selling pressure, the upper shadow. Right? I wanted to see, I would rather just say there's no shadow right here. If the candle was like that, I would have swung this long for sure. Because I've been stalking this for a while. One could have, we looked at possibly swinging it here. We'd have had 2 days of pain and today would have paid. Okay, so that's basically two things, right? And even here it was possible, but we would have had 4 days of pain and then maybe paid, right? So again, I didn't go here because the upper shadow came back in and then it just launched today. Okay, so it gave a pretty decent move, but at this point it's hard with the upper shadow to take a position. So I'm gonna wait till earnings on this one at this point, right? It's really hard because the cloud is right up here. If it did even close bullishly there, right, there's not a lot of room to the cloud. Uber, similar, very bouncy right there, big upper shadow, lower shadow. It's just tough, right? If it closed bullishly over here, maybe, but I wouldn't want to swing into the cloud anyway. So again, I'm gonna have to wait for earnings on both these guys. And then shop. We definitely, shop is, like I said, it's sort of like a leading indicator for, for Roku. Roku's got a much tighter channel on the way up, but it doesn't really look like a bear flag. But shop has already started its downtrend here. It's wave B. So we'll see if Roku follows in its footsteps. Good stuff. Thomas, what's going on? Sarah, AM Vids, what's up? UA. Okay, Texan and Z. Yeah, so UA. Wow, nice candle today. Oh, I usually trade UAA. But yeah, so we've got a couple good things happening here. This looks good. This is definitely gonna be on the bullish list. I like this close here today. I wish I swung it here. It looks just really, really good. Yeah, Shirley mentioned the UAA earlier, and I like it very, very much. TXN, we saw that was way down. Right now, or it closed, the level 2 prices were like 115, high 115s, 116s. So let's see. So it's basically here. So if it gaps down below these levels, that it could get a little bit of a move there. It's not a huge gap and go level. This is the major gap and go level right here. So we might see a reversal back up on TXN tomorrow. We'll just have to gauge the price action. We'll use the 15 orb on that one. Good. MicroTrader, what's going on? Good evening, Jay. What's happening? You're late, but you're here. That's what matters. Minesh, Snap, and iRobot. Yeah, both of these had earnings too. So Snap, oof, looks like they missed too. Yeah, a little bit down there. We'll see how that goes. Around that 13 level. Again, yeah, if it does, that's a gap and go level right there because that pivot that I was working on. So if that goes down, might see a little bit of a push more to the downside on Snap. iRobot. Oof, iRobot can really get a beat down right there, but it missed again. It had a big gap down last time. It's missing again. It's down to like 43 right now. So the next level in the past is like so far back. We could see a gap and go on iRobot as well to the downside. It might just be done. So we'll have to take a look at that. Thomas, ALK, and MO. Let's take a look. Okay. Good. Yeah, it's looking pretty bullish right here. RSI is, kind of getting in that little overbought territory. Again, I liked yesterday's candle, so this might be just sort of a hold in that range, and it might get a, continued move up right there. So we got one more, 2 more days there before earnings come out. 2 more full trading days, and then MO. Ooh, that is starting to look pretty good. Now, before we say anything, the macro trend is down. The super macro trend is down. Okay, but the intermediate trend is up, and it gave a few setups, right? It gave a few setups. The next bullish one was here, right? Increasing volume. That was a good trade. Although I wouldn't chase it here. Okay, it's got a little bit of resistance. The cloud top. Now it could eventually break out and all that, but this was the entry day right there. Yeah. Oh, okay, Tom. Yeah, cool. I gotcha. BMY did a gap too. Yeah. BMY. Let's take a look. Yeah, very similar. Gap in reverse, right? So big move there. Let's take a look. Let's zoom out a little bit. Let me get a few more days on this. Let's go like that. So we can see where it gapped to. Yeah, same thing, right? It gapped over a lot of key levels, so it gave a nice move at the open, and then we get that flush to the downside. Let's look at the 15 orb on this. So 15 orb is a little bit tricky, right? It had that move up, but again, seeing where it was gapping into, where it was moving into, shows there was resistance. That was actually, once it failed there, you could actually trade through that orb range, right? Came back, retest the 15 orb, and then see ya. Very interesting stuff. Good. BMY did get, yep, exactly. No problem, Nephri, my pleasure. Nephri, yeah, lung cancer. I know, yeah. CS Ready, what's going on? Xilinx? Yeah, let's take a look. Good to see you, man. XLNX. Yeah, Xilinx is pretty tough right here. No real clear indications on the candles. Let's see when do earnings come. Is it tonight? Tomorrow night. So yeah, we'll see. It's an interesting area, right? With the downtrend right here, minor pivot. If it closes bullishly, but honestly, if it closed into the cloud, maybe even above these levels, I'd be interested, right? But other than that, we could see a reversal, potential on it, if it gapped up. And then AYX, yes, AYX. Oh wow, big reversal to the downside. Look, macro trend, right, down. Okay. It was over here, but it just shifted because of the recent lows. But either way, right, we had a possible short here as it closed below this level, right, and then a nice short to the downside on that. Wow, amazing to see that. Good. MTN. SPY is good for stock market. Exactly. And last night I got my notification an hour and a half later. No worries. Yeah, that's really crazy. Thanks, YouTube. It does some weird stuff. Google's got some weird stuff, but hey, it's free, so we get that stuff. So, Uri, what's going on? Lyft destroyed me with that random intraday move. Oh, I know. Oh, usually those news come out prior to the market. I know. I'm so sorry that happened. Yeah, it was tough. I mean, it was in kind of this area. Let's take a look and see what it did, how it traded intraday. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, because it's very bearish here. 15 orb down, right? It's like you're looking. It's like okay, maybe retest like that. That's crazy. Tough setup on that one too. Let's see if there's any sort of indication that was a possibility. Yeah, that was a pretty tricky one right there for sure. That stinks. I'm sorry that you got caught up in that. MHawk, what's going on? Big Blue. Appreciate you, Mr. My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, big stuff there. Big moves there. Any advice on Twitter? Well, no advice, right? Just education stuff. But let's take a look at Twitter. Yeah, so Twitter's actually, I had a bearish candle today, if I recall. Let's see. Yeah, downward trend line right here. Basically rejected the downward trend line pretty hard, right? Big engulfing candle right here. It's got earnings coming up, 2 days or a day and a half, or basically before the market, right, on Thursday. So we'll see. Right now, very bearish candle right there. It's still holding its downtrend at this point. So we'll see how that holds. But it could be interesting. If it continues to work its way down, it might be a good lotto. But we'll see what they've got to say. Yeah, TNDM. Nice. All right, so let's see, TNDM. Yep, here's your trend line right here. It needs to close above these levels here to get bullish. But let's look at the bearish side of it too. So you have this right there. So first minor pivot today. So if it closes bearishly below there, right, we might see a move. So it's got a couple of things it could do. It could close above this level bullishly with increased volume. We can see a move up, or bearishly below today's low, and then possibly see its way down. So caught, as Netfry would say, caught in the Bermuda Triangle. Caught in the Bermuda Triangle. So good stuff. CS Ready, my pleasure. Wow, great stuff. All right, well, It's 10:16, so appreciate everybody's questions and chart requests. Always great stuff. You guys are the best. Hope everybody has a great rest of your evening and an awesome trading day tomorrow. If you're new here on YouTube, definitely click subscribe and check us out on our nightly market recaps. Also check out the links in the YouTube description too. Some good ones in there. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Always love these chats with you guys and love your chart requests. So everybody have a great rest of your evening, and remember your risk first and stay safe.